They always said Sakuragaoka Cemetery was peaceful, even beautiful, perched atop a gentle hill in a quiet Tokyo suburb. It looked more like a garden than a graveyard. Cherry blossom trees lined the old stone paths, their petals floating gently to the ground like snow. In spring, locals would pass by just to admire the scenery, taking quiet photos of the pink canopy above the graves. But no one, not even the elderly who came to tend to family tombs, ever walked through the cemetery after sunset, especially not during twilight, especially not alone. Kenji had forgotten that part, or maybe, deep down, he never believed it. He had returned from Los Angeles just 3 days ago. After a frantic phone call, his mother had died, a sudden aneurysm. They said, no warning, no goodbye. He hadn't even opened the last voice message she left. It still sat unread on his phone, like a cruel joke. After the funeral, the formalities overwhelmed him. Paperwork, incense rituals, awkward family dinners. So, when his cousin invited him over for tea that evening, Kenji welcomed the excuse to step away from it all. He checked the map. The walk would take 30 minutes through the main road, but there was a shortcut, one that sliced straight through Sakuragaoka Cemetery. He stared at it for a moment, thumb hovering. The sun was setting, casting the sky in soft hues of orange and purple. He was tired. His head throbbed. His heart ached. So he took the shortcut. The cemetery greeted him with silence. Not an eerie silence, but the kind that feels sacred. The stone path wound gently between grave markers, some centuries old. He passed by shrines lit with faded lanterns, offering bowls filled with stale rice, wind chimes whispering in the trees. Halfway through, the light began to shift. Twilight. It wasn't gradual. One moment, the world was dim but warm, and the next, everything felt drained, as if the air itself had turned cold. The cherry blossoms above him trembled in the breeze, and Kenji felt something strange, a stillness, like the moment before a storm. Then he saw her, standing by a crooked stone monument, a woman in a pale blue dress. Her back was turned, her posture delicate, familiar. She stood as if waiting. Kenji froze. Mom. The figure turned. It was her. Same soft smile, same kind eyes, her hands folded in front of her, just like she always did when waiting for him after school. There was no mistaking it. She looked younger, healthier, not like in the hospital, not like in the coffin. Kenji's breath caught in his throat. He blinked rapidly, heart hammering. His mind screamed, no, this isn't real, it can't be. But her voice came, gentle and clear. Kenji, you're late. Kenji stood frozen, his mouth dry. The woman in front of him, his mother, looked impossibly real, not like a ghost, not like a hallucination, but present, alive, breathing. The air felt heavier now. The faint scent of cherry blossoms had faded, replaced by something metallic and faintly sweet, like dried flowers left in a sealed box. For too long. Kenji, she said again, her voice delicate but firm, you're late. Come walk with me. She extended her hand. He should have run. Somewhere in his mind, something screamed, a memory perhaps, or a half-remembered warning. If you see someone you've lost in Sakuragaoka, don't speak, don't follow, don't look them in the eyes. But the ache inside his chest drowned out the logic. That ache, that raw, bleeding thing that hadn't healed since the call, since the casket, since the weight of finality crushed his lungs, whispered something else. What if this is your second chance? He reached out and took her hand. It was cold, not icy, not corpse cold, but absent, like the sensation of touching fog that just barely resisted your fingers. Her skin looked soft, but it yielded strangely under his grasp, like holding a memory. They walked in silence along the mossy path. The world around them seemed caught in a time warp. The light no longer shifted, as if twilight had settled in and refused to move forward. The cicadas had gone quiet. Even the breeze had died. You didn't listen to the message, she said softly, not looking at him. Kenji's stomach clenched. You know that. His mother gave a gentle smile. I was waiting for you too. I told you everything in that message. But I suppose this is better, isn't it? Seeing each other, talking. Kenji felt dizzy. Am I dreaming? He asked. She stopped walking, turned to face him. Her eyes were dark, not empty, not demonic, just bottomless, like staring into a well that never ends. Her voice came quieter this time. Would it matter? Kenji wanted to answer, yes, it would matter, but he didn't, because the longer he looked at her, the more he realized something was wrong. Subtle things. Her feet didn't leave prints in the gravel. Her shadow curved in the wrong direction. The blue dress she wore had no seams, no wrinkles, no stitching. It was like it had been painted on her by memory, not stitched by hand. He tried to step back. Her hand tightened around his. Just then, from somewhere deeper in the cemetery, a bell rang. Not a modern chime. It was low, ancient, made of bronze and sorrow. It echoed through the trees, vibrating in his chest like a warning. His mother turned her head slightly, listening. Her expression flickered. "We don't have much time," she said. "They don't like it when I talk too long." "Who?" Kenji whispered. Her lips parted as if to answer, but then her body twitched like a puppet pulled too hard on its string. Her smile snapped wide, far too wide. "You shouldn't have come here, Kenji," she said in a voice that was no longer hers. And then the cherry trees screamed, not with voices, but with the sound of thousands of petals tearing free. All at once, the branches ripped. The sky above cracked with shadow. Kenji ran. The path twisted beneath his feet. Stones slick with dew and something darker. Behind him, the cherry trees rustled, not from wind, but from something moving through them. He didn't dare look. Back, his lungs burned. Branches clawed at his jacket. The bell rang again, closer this time, deeper, like it was buried beneath the ground and ringing from below his feet. All around him, the twilight remained locked in place, as if the sun had stopped just beneath the horizon, frozen between day and night. The sky was neither dark nor light, only endlessly purple. He spotted the cemetery gate ahead, old, wooden, and barely standing. Relief surged through his chest as he sprinted toward it. But the moment he stepped outside the cemetery grounds, everything was wrong. He expected the quiet suburban streets, the vending machine by the bus stop, the faint buzz of evening traffic. Instead, he found nothing. Just more trees, more graves, and that same suffocating twilight. Kenji spun around. The gate behind him was gone. In its place stood another path, identical to the one he had just run down. Every direction looked the same, as if Sakuragaoka had folded in on itself and swallowed him whole. He whispered aloud, "No, no, no, no." Suddenly, he heard a voice, not his mother's this time. A child. "Are you lost too?" Kenji turned. A little boy stood a few feet away, barefoot on the gravel path. His school uniform was rumpled, dusty. His eyes were wide, empty, not from horror, but from forgetting, like someone who had waited too long and forgotten what they were waiting for. "I followed my grandpa," the boy said softly. "He died last winter. He was standing right there. I thought he was taking me home." Kenji's throat tightened. "How long have you been here?" The boy shrugged. "It's always sunset here." "I don't know anymore." A second figure appeared, a teenage girl this time. She held a red umbrella, though no rain fell. Her expression was blank. She spoke without moving her lips. "They look like people you loved, but they're not anymore." Kenji backed, away slowly. "Who are you?" But the girl was already gone. So was the boy. He was alone again. The bell rang a third time. This time, it didn't echo. It spoke, a whisper beneath the chime, as if something old and buried was waking. The ground beneath his feet trembled slightly. A cold wind blew through the trees, and Kenji smelled incense, the kind burned at funerals. He turned and saw another figure on the path. This time it was himself. Same jacket, same eyes. The other Kenji just stood there, watching, expressionless, unmoving, like a reflection from the bottom of a dark well. Kenji stepped back, heart pounding. What are you?" The other Kenji tilted his head and smiled. A voice came, quiet and ancient. "From behind the trees, you saw what you wanted. You walked toward it. Now, you belong to us." The other Kenji stepped closer. Same face, same breath, but his eyes were wrong. They didn't blink, didn't react. They looked through Kenji like glass marbles staring from a forgotten doll. "No," Kenji whispered, stumbling backward. "This isn't real. You're not, you," the doppelganger finished, in perfect unison with his voice. "Not anymore." Then it smiled wider than a human mouth should. Kenji turned and ran again. Not toward a path this time, but into the trees. The neat rows of graves disappeared, replaced by something more ancient. Stones worn down to stumps, wooden prayer boards blackened with age, Jizo statues with blindfolds over their eyes, their mouths filled with coins, and in the shadows between the trees, the whispers began. They weren't words, more like the rustling of regrets, like breath caught in a dying throat. But he could feel their meaning. They came from every direction, brushing past his skin like cobwebs. "Kenji, come home. She's waiting." He stumbled into a clearing. There, beneath a twisted cherry tree that bore no blossoms, stood his mother again. But this time, she was different. Her dress was stained. Her hair hung limp. Her face was almost right to smooth, to symmetrical, like a mask made of memory that she held out both arms. "You left me alone," she said. Her voice layered like a chorus of echoes. "But you can stay now, forever." Kenji shook his head, trembling. "You're not my mother. You saw what you wanted to see," she said, "like all of them do." And then he saw them. Figures stepping out from the trees, dozens, maybe hundreds. Some wore suits, others robes, school uniforms, wedding dresses. All of them had familiar faces, family, friends, lovers, warped just enough to make his stomach twist. They surrounded the tree, watching him, whispering in a language made of sorrow. Kenji turned to flee, but the path behind him had vanished. There was only fog, thick, cold, moving. He fell to his knees. "I don't belong here," he whispered. "I didn't mean to, you chose to," a voice said from behind him, not loud, but final. It was the girl with the red umbrella again, standing still as stone. "You walked toward the dead. You let memory guide your feet. You gave them your pain, and they hunger for it." Kenji's breath came in shallow gasps. The figures around him closed in, their faces flickering like candlelight. Some wept, some reached out, others just stared with empty eyes. Then the bell rang. Again, but this time, Kenji heard it for what it was, a call to stay, a call to join, a call to forget. He clutched his head, his thoughts blurred. He remembered his childhood, then forgot it. Remembered his mother's voice, then forgot her face. "Help me," he whispered. The girl didn't move. "You've already been helped. This place only opens when you're ready to see." The last thing he saw before the twilight swallowed him was his own reflection in the girl's eyes, standing at the tree, motionless, smiling faintly. Like all the others, asterisk darkness didn't fall. It simply settled, like dust on forgotten. Furniture like silence on an empty room. The clearing grew colder, but the cherry tree remained, still and unbloomed. The air smelled of ash and wilted flowers. Kenji stood motionless at its base, head tilted, expression serene dot around him. The crowd of phantoms watched quietly, as if welcoming a new member into a family that had no warmth. But something stirred, a whisper of memory, a thread of who he used to be dot, and then a sound dot buzz. Buzz, a faint vibration. In his pocket dot his phone. Kenji blinked. The name on the screen pulsed faintly. Mom. Voice message one, the one he had never listened to. His thumb trembled, pressed play. A voice crackled through, soft, tired, and unmistakably hers. "Kenji, it's me. I don't know if you'll hear this in time, but I want you to know I'm proud of you. You've done well, even far from home. I never said it enough. I'm sorry I wasn't there more. I'm sorry for everything. But please don't hold on too tight. Let go. Kenji, live." The voice faded, and for the first time in hours, or days, or eternity, something inside Kenji broke free. Not fear, not pain, just clarity. The illusions around him shuddered. The cherry tree groaned. Its bark cracked like old bones. The figures watching him began to dissolve into shadows, as if the sound of his mother's real voice had unraveled their hold. The girl with the red umbrella appeared again, but now her umbrella was closed, and for the first time, she looked relieved. "You remembered," she said. "Most don't." Kenji fell to his knees, gasping. The twilight around him trembled, the fog retreated. The bell rang one final time, not as a summons, but as a farewell. The earth seemed to tilt. And suddenly, he was outside, staggering out of the cemetery gate, breath ragged, knees scraped. The evening sky above him was real this time, dusky, not frozen. The street lamps buzzed softly. A vending machine blinked in the distance. Sakuragaoka stood behind him, quiet once more. Kenji turned and looked back. The gate, the trees, the path, all still. But as he walked away, he noticed something carved into the old wooden post by the entrance. A message in fading ink. They wait in memory, but they feed on those who linger. Kenji slipped his phone into his pocket. He didn't delete the voicemail. He just listened to it one more time and kept walking.